Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have one of my favorite episodes after the Dollhouse era of Pretty Little Liars.
It did not disappoint. You had built it up last week, and
I have thought about nothing but this scene for a very long time and it was better than I remember. I haven't rewatched this in years.
It's so good.
It's so good because it's so bad.
On multiple levels, it's amazing.
You're just like, oh God. Oh God. And you have to think like this is before pot was legalized. Like,
right, yeah. We're talking about Toby getting too high, by the way.
Yeah. If you couldn't guess what my favorite scene was in these two, it is when Toby eats Spencer's weed gummies and she doesn't know she has. Because the setup is so good because she doesn't even know they're there.
And that's where I had assumed when you get the scene before it cuts to him eating him, where he picks him up and he looks at him, I'm like, oh, he's gonna like
think she's cheating.
Oh no, that it's like, oh, she's backsliding, like he's gonna like grill her on like doing weed gummies. Nope. Just popping them like candy. And you're like, oh no.
And then he's like trying to shoot the gun and the lights are flashing.
And he's like, whoa.
Like, it makes sense because you think about like how many of those he ate, but like in context, it doesn't, like out of context, it doesn't make sense at all. Cause like I've never been so high that like the lights were like flashing like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, waving. They're doing
that's
like
not that kind of drug.
Shorthand thing, yeah, to make it seem like he's all doped up.
Mm-hmm.
It is very funny. He does take a ton.
He does.
But the great part about that scene too, I mean, we could, we'll talk more about it, I guess, but might as well just talk about it now. Is that Charles hooded figure is shooting Lorenzo and the other people with a pitching machine, and so there's just
basketballs or whatever.
I think it's baseballs.
Oh, I don't know, but it's like it's bigger.
Oh, so maybe it's softballs.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Lorenzo's just like getting.
It's like an arcade.
Yeah, so I assumed
it was the arcade they went to in the home video.
Yeah, from like a batting cage or something is what I assume the pitching machine is from.
I thought that was like a basketball shooting or something out of it, but maybe it was a pitching machine. I wasn't paying close enough attention.
I could have sworn
I was too busy giggling.
Because it's or at least it looks like a pitching machine.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I could just be filling in what type of ball. Either way, he's shooting balls at Lorenzo, who's just taking all sorts of hits, and then it's just like mowing like everybody else down, like they're diving behind cover, like A has a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
It's great.
And the only reason I could, really point that out, because this just it works on so many levels. It's such a home run, and then Toby's such a little dickhead. He's just getting his comeuppance for being just a jackass.
Also, okay, so if you've never eaten a weed gummy, let me tell you, they don't taste right.
Right,
you're not gonna eat I mean, I've never encountered any that didn't taste like weed and smell a little like weed.
Yeah, they all taste a little funny,
and they like it tastes like herb, like you can taste it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, in what world is Toby knocking these back and not tasting or smelling it? Didn't he go to cop school?
Right. At least learn maybe something about it.
Like, how are you gonna identify drugs, Toby?
Doesn't have a canine on that. I don't know.
But I mean, you would be able to smell it.
Yeah, definitely.
I just thought it was so funny.
It's really funny. Yeah. And I guess it's not surprising that Toby hasn't smoked weed, but it's still hilarious. Incredible. That's good stuff. Should I just jump into the episode descriptions then? There's that one, and then we also have some other episodes.
There's two episodes.
Some other things happen, but like...
Let's talk about Toby.
Sorry. Season 6, Episode 7, Episode 127, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Spencer and Arya reach Allie's voicemail. They're looking up microchips online. Spencer feels like their microchips are bigger than average. Arya jokes about leaving theirs in, and Spencer says we should and use our knowledge that we still have him in there against Charles. Use our knowledge that we know about it against Charles to deceive him. Arya gets a text from Mona that Leslie agreed to meet with them. Allie and her suitcases get put into a car by her dad. She wants to know what's going on, and he's like, I'm taking you someplace safe. Allison then sees the birthday card from Charles and tells her dad that Charles is alive and he's coming for us, isn't he? Hannah goes to meet up with the friends at Mona's as Ashley stops her with an envelope. Hannah got a scholarship for $30,000, and turns out Ashley had applied to a ton of them. Hannah recognizes the name of the foundation, is a little bit confused by it, and Ashley said Jason recommended it and his mom donated to it a lot. Emily's at the brew and gets stopped by Sarah's old friend Claire looking for her and Sara. Remember that Claire was who Emily had met up with a while ago when they'd found out that it was supposedly Sarah Harvey's body that was in the ground, and talked about how horrible Sarah was, essentially that Sarah was like another Allison. Back to the summary. And Claire says she and Sarah had hard times, but no one deserves to go through what you two did. I would just like to see her. Emily says, I can call you later if that's okay. Claire goes to leave, and Emily says, actually, she's at therapy, and I pick her up in 2 hours. Toby surprises Spencer at her house, returning to Rosewood. Spencer says, sorry, I have to go. I want to hear about your police seminar tonight. She gets a text from...
Girlie, don't feign interest.
She's she's trying. He's off at police seminar. I can't wait to
hear about your police seminar.
Yeah. Well.
I bet they didn't teach him about drugs.
Definitely not. This is how you pin someone on the ground. She gets a text from Arya, and Toby says, babe, did something happen when I was gone? She's like, no, Arya's helping me write my speech. Toby says, we don't do secrets. I don't want to go back to that. And Spencer's like, we're not. Goodbye.
Also, baby on a show called Pretty Little Liars.
I know, he doesn't know. Does he know? The friends gather at Mona's and Leslie didn't show up. Leslie texts Mona that she's doing well and thinks confrontations like this will set her back. This may be the most realistic text in the entire show.
Leslie has a boundary.
Right. But also just like that specific phrasing. The friends all say, that's like someone coached like through therapy. You know what I mean? The friends all say, hell no, we're going to see her. Mona says, Leslie is fragile right now. We can't. The others then grill Mona on potentially knowing something, like when she picked up Allison that night. Like, what else happened? And like, the night Allison disappeared. Sorry. And then saying someone stole the game from her and Radley. What did that mean? And Mona's like, I don't know. Emily tells Sarah, she just like has some like excuses for it. Emily tells Sarah she doesn't have to see Claire. She doesn't want to. And Sarah's like, it's okay. I want to. Things get awkward between them. And Sarah says, hey, last night when I kissed you, did I just like dream that? And Emily's like, well, something did happen if you wanted it to. And Sarah's like, well, I want it to. And is happy to share a kiss again. Emily says we should take things slow since we've both been through a lot. And Sarah's like, oh, yeah, you're probably right. Lorenzo goes to the De Laurentiis house, and Jason opens up the door. He tells Lorenzo that Allison is out of town with her dad. He doesn't know when she'll be back. Lorenzo's like, well, she usually texts me back. And Jason's like, I didn't know you had a usual. Lorenzo says, let me know when she comes back. As he leaves, Jason spots a balloon on the side of their porch and a plastic frog and a birthday invitation attached from Charles, and tells him it's a birthday invitation for Charles's birthday, and tells Jason to come alone or not at all. Arya digs through her dolls as Mike comes in. She says it's time to find a new subject. They're starting to creep me out. Mike is sad because Mona hasn't talked to him since he got back, and he's like, did you tell her not to talk to me? And Arya's like, no. Emily, Sara, and Claire are out having lunch. Sara starts to open up and starts asking Claire about her life and how people are, and, just general, like, getting to know questions. Or catching up questions.
I was like, I think she knows her.
Yeah. Hannah and Spencer at the brew. Hannah can't find the scholarship on any of the websites. The scholarship is from the Carissimi Group, but they don't have any scholarships listed on their website. Isn't that interesting? They also find that Radley is one of their facilities. Back at lunch, Emily, Sara, and Claire... Emily is like having an awkward time listening to them catch up, and then cuts off the lunch and says Sara needs to go. Claire then invites Sara over to dinner and a sleepover, and Emily's like, I don't think like that'd be a good idea. She has this place to stay.
Well, she has police at my house.
Oh, police at my house.
There's police escort too. Like, I do think that that's a good reason.
Yes.
I mean, I know Emily's reason isn't actually that, but I am like,
yeah, no need for me to belittle that part.
Yeah, I think you'd want to stay where, I mean, I guess we've seen how Rosewood PD operates. Actually, do you want to
maybe you should actually head over to Claire's. Or they're just going to sit outside, do nothing, and talk shit on you. Spencer realizes that Carissimi means beloved. Wait, beloved. And Mrs. D's oldest is Charles. Maybe her beloved is Charles, and that's why it was her favorite charity, and therefore her oldest son, Charles, that was his bank account. Little Richard, never mind. Hannah finds the address for the Carissimi Group. Spencer walks away to answer a call, and the baker, Sabrina, comes in and drops off a pot brownie. Or I thought it was a pot brownie. It was a bag of gummies. Turns out the call that Spencer gets is from Allison, and Allison tells her about Charles and the threat. And it's Charles' birthday today. Allison is hiding out in the hotel bathroom to call her, and Allison is worried that Jason will try and meet Charles and wants Spencer to talk to him. Allison's dad bangs on the bathroom door to let him in. She lets him in and grills him on not going to the police. He says, "Oh, so they can figure out I lied to my son? Give me 1 day to figure this all out." Sorry, not to my son, about my son. Sarah he did lie to his son, but
well, no, actually, charges. Jason's not his son.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, he doesn't know that.
Does Kenneth not know that? Kenneth knows that.
Does he know that?
I don't know.
What does Kenneth know?
Great question.
I mean, we're just gonna blow right past that question in the next 2 episodes anyway.
I'll Google it.
Okay. Does Kenneth know? Sarah tells Emily that Claire's dad is picking her up in a few hours. Emily's like, "I met Claire once before, and she didn't have very nice things to say about you." Sarah says, "I know, she told me just now. I didn't like myself back then either. If I didn't live in your house, we could actually go out, have a nice meal, and do more things like this," and kisses Emily. The other 3 friends go to the De Laurentiis house and find that Jason's not home. The police pull up and ask if everything's okay. Aria's like, "Oh yeah, have you seen Jason?" And police are like, "Well, it looks like he doesn't want to be bothered right now." They go to leave, and Spencer sees the balloon in the window. Mike apparently is sitting in Mona's room without her permission and surprises her.
Well, her mom let him in.
I know, but she's not talking to him.
It does look like the consensus is that people think that he knew.
Oh, okay. Far be it from me to... the fandom would know better than I.
Yeah. He knows somewhere around at least when the divorce is happening, but we think before that. Maybe he's always known.
Oh.
We don't know.
He's always knew Jason had a Peter-esque quality about him.
Let us know if you have an opinion on this, or if maybe we missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Mona tells Mike he needs to leave. Mike says, "Why?" She's like, "I know what I put you through. You were right to get... You were right to tell me not to go through with it." Mike's like, "It doesn't matter now. All that matters is you're alive." The other 3 friends catch Emily up. Hannah has a tracker on Jason's car. Spencer says, "We have to remove our chips before we follow Jason." Emily says, "This has to be a trap from A," and Arya agrees. Spencer says, "A will never show up if we go to the police." She says, "We can tell Toby he can keep us safe and follow us. If this works, Charles will never be able to hurt us again." Emily asks how we're going to remove the microchips. Hannah walks over with antiseptic and a needle and says, "Spencer and I have been watching videos online." Spencer lets Toby in, and we hear sounds of pain coming from upstairs. Spencer says, "I'm going to tell you things, but you can't tell anyone, including Tanner." He's like, "What? You can't do that." And she's like, "Just for one night." She tells Toby about Charles. Mona unpacks the dolls from Arya. Mike consoles Mona, and eventually they kiss. They're having their own separate soap opera plotline.
Yeah.
Toby says Tanner could have helped if she knew about this weeks ago. And then the other friends run downstairs to say, "Jason's on the move. We have to follow." Toby's like, "You can't go. I have to. You all stay here. You have to do this my way or I'll call Tanner." And Spencer's like, "I can't let you do this alone." Toby says, "Well, that's looking like our only option." Spoken like a cop. Spencer runs upstairs to help the other friends, and then Spencer notices the gummies that Sabrina gave Spencer. Just desserts. Allison is getting ready in the bathroom, and once her dad leaves the bathroom, we see that she switched his decaf coffee for sleeping pills.
No, she switched his regular coffee for decaf. He was making coffee. She put decaf in there and put sleeping pills.
And then the sleeping pills were separate?
And put the sleeping pills in there too, I think, in the coffee.
I see.
That's why she hid the decaf wrapper, so that it was in the caffeine one.
Fair enough. guess I was taking my sleeping pills watching that.
Okay, Columbo, you'll get it next time.
This is what makes Theory Corner so enlightening. All these details I pay attention to.
You're not really a details person.
Not so much. Toby starts downing the gummies at the police station. He says,
literally, I've never seen anyone eat candy like that.
He says, hey, Lorenzo, maybe we should swing by Wallaby Avenue. Lorenzo's like, that's outside our jurisdiction. And he's like, no, Lorenzo, we should go. And
He's
Toby,
like, come on, it's boring here. It's like,
come on.
sounds like he's flirting. Once again,
I mean, he can't help it, can he? Toby's trying to do this without telling anyone. Lorenzo thinks this is suspicious, but goes along with him.
Which is like, okay, Lorenzo, do you not... Like, all these cops are like willy-nilly on the rules.
Yeah, I know. Just because you two think each other are cute doesn't mean you get to...
Their whole thing.
Do this the wrong way. The friends are waiting at Spencer's, and Spencer is worrying. Hannah downloaded the tracker on her phone, and we find that Jason is just outside Rosewood. Spencer rallies them all to go and follow. Arya stays behind and almost calls 911, but doesn't, and then follows along. Jason is at an abandoned warehouse. Excuse me. And we see a hooded figure follow and check the GPS for all the girls and see that they're at the Hastings. Allison gets picked up by Mona. Allison says, you're the only one who answered my call. Jason looks around and gets a call from his dad that he ignores. Looks like it's an old arcade, which we know is Allison using her dad's phone. Looks like it's an old arcade. Maybe the arcade that him and Charles and Allison were in the little picture on. And his mom were in the picture. He calls for Charles, and we see a shadow of a hooded figure. Mona didn't tell Mike where she was going and tells Allison she was glad she can help and feels like she owes Allison a lot. Allison calls 911 after trying to reach Jason. She says her friends and family are in danger, and she knows A is her brother, Charles. Cops bust into the De Laurentiis home and find the birthday card. Jason sees Charles as Toby and Lorenzo bust in, telling him to freeze. Charles unleashes a bunch of steel pipes, which takes out Lorenzo. They turn on the arcade lights, and then Toby's weed gummies start hitting, and he starts wigging out. Charles fires up a pitching machine and takes out Lorenzo a second time. The friends come in to see the chaos. Charles wields the pitching machine like a machine gun and takes them all out. Spencer crawls over to Toby, who's incapacitated. Just then the police bust in, and A goes, oh shit, it's the cops, and runs. Ashley is pissed at Hannah, and Hannah says, we were so close to catching him. And she's like, it isn't your job, and I don't want you kidnapped again. Hannah says, I don't think we should take that scholarship, Mom. It's really fishy. And I think it might be related to the De Laurentiis. Ashley says, you deserve every last dime of that money, which is why I already deposited the check. Arya is crying in her room when there's a knock at the door. She says she doesn't want to talk anymore with her dad, and then turns out it's Mike coming in to talk. He's like, hey, Mona and I are going to try and work it out. Oh, how are you doing? And he's like, you're so brave. Arya's like, well, I feel so scared all the time. Mike hands Arya an envelope that came for her. Arya opens the envelope and finds out she's a finalist for the photo competition. Spencer finds Toby in a police conference room freaking out. He's catatonic, and Spencer's like, I didn't know she put those in my bag. I really should have told you I was having problems. And Toby's like, I need you to leave and wait in the lobby for your mom. I can't have someone looking for you and find me like this. Emily comes back to her empty room sad. She then pulls her microchip out of her purse and smashes it. Allison comes back into her house as Jason drinks scotch. Allison pleads with him not to ruin his life over this. Jason's like, I was going to reach out to my brother and get him to turn himself in. Okay. Wishful thinking there. They hear a recording of a little boy that says, Jason, come play with me. They find a projector set up in their attic playing a home movie. They both recognize that their mom took them out of school on this day to go play at an arcade, and they couldn't tell their dad. They're all playing with another boy. Jessica then calls the other boy over. Jessica in the video calls the other boy over and asks if they're having a good birthday. They say yes and ask when they have to go back, and Jessica says, not till later. Go have fun. Allison finds a note that says, I wanted to trust you. A gloved hand finds a wrapped box with a note saying, Happy birthday, signed from your friend and ally. They unwrap the gift to find a framed painting of them blowing out their candles from the home video. Interesting.
Yes. So Lorenzo was hit with baseballs. I looked it up. You are correct. Okay. I was like, it had to have been. Then I was like, but I felt like they were big. I didn't watch the clip, but
right.
It said baseball. So
okay. All right.
He was, yeah, that makes sense. Then a pitching machine.
Mm-hmm.
I played sports with balls. Can't you tell?
What is the thing that throws the balls from?
How did you get balls in the air.
I mean, it could have been softballs. So
It doesn't matter. I just was checking because I was like, what was he hit with?
steel pipes first.
Steel pipe.
It's so funny. It is. He just falls into a trap. He falls into a Home Alone trap.
So, should they have removed the microchips?
I mean, for this plan, yes. I feel like it's a actually pretty decent plan. It worked out pretty well in their favor. Like, A was caught unawares.
They just had to get Toby high so that they could ruin it.
Yeah. Well, Toby ruined it himself. This is all Toby's fault. This is 100% Toby's fault.
Don't eat other people's candy.
Yeah. Well, you don't come in, tell people how to do things. They've got a plan together, and he's going, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to do it my way, and you're not leaving me any other choice. All condescending and things. And, yeah, well, sorry, you got too high. Maybe that's your own choices. We've gone back and forth on this because I just thought it was crazy that he stole someone else's gummies, and you're like, no, it says from S on there, so he probably thought it was a gift.
Yeah, I think he thought it was a gift.
But then I went back, and I'm like, but he didn't wait for the gift to be given
to him. Yeah.
He just eats them all.
Mm-hmm.
Not happy with Mr.
If I had
Kavanaugh.
candy and you wanted it, wouldn't you just eat it?
If
I had a bag of candy
mm-hmm.
and you were like, ooh, that looks good.
I'd probably ask, can I have some?
You probably would because...
I'm not just going to eat your candy.
That's true.
It's your candy.
Yeah. You might already have it halfway to your mouth, but you're going to ask.
Right. I might pick one out of the bag and be like, can I have one? But I'm not just going to be like, time to take this to work with me. Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. I think he thought it was for him, but
I still
think it's inappropriate.
Yeah, and he didn't wait for it to be given.
No.
I'm not going over.
And I'm sorry. You know when I don't really like crave candy is when I look at my partner and her friends and they all have open wounds on the back of their neck. Toby did not ask the right questions.
No, He's like, I don't want to know what's going on. I know what's best for you.
Not. I know how to do stitches because they gave me a little emergency. Like, do you think they train cops on how to do like some minor wound management? They probably should.
They probably should. Yeah.
I don't know if they do.
No. Because they're probably causing the wounds.
I don't know. I mean, I know that, but I don't know if they learned that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Why wouldn't Mr. D just call the fucking cops? They're gonna find out, buddy boy. And then the next episode, it's just like, yeah.
Uh-huh. It's like, well, Charles is... Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, I'll work with the cops now. Yeah. It does suck, but like, your daughter was kidnapped by your son. So maybe you should be a little bit more proactive on this one.
Well, his daughter wasn't. His daughter's friends were.
Sorry, his daughter's friends were.
His daughter was almost kidnapped by his son.
That's right. Well, because it would just water under the bridge.
Semantics.
Exactly. Okay, so then that's where I go, like, Jason is like, I was going to go there and have a heart-to-heart with my brother.
Well, because he's a man, so things don't happen to him. Have you met a boy who wasn't stupid like that?
Well, but it's... I could fix him. Why?
Because it's his brother, and he just has these repressed, or not repressed, but he thought like were fictional memories, and all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh, this person was real, and I just want to see them, and I want to.
Okay.
And I think he knows, similar to Allison in the next episode, that they're going to shoot when they see Charles. Like, This is not they're going to let this person go. It's if this person looks remotely violent or cornered, they're going to shoot, and I may never get to have that moment.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
I think that's a lot of it.
I will go along with that. Yeah, because I'm just like, Charles kidnapped people. Like, not even like kidnap. Like,
yeah,
hardcore.
Jason isn't trying to help Charles get away. Jason wanted Charles to turn themselves in.
But that's
and
what
I think
mean,
Jason has this like core nostalgia of like, well, this was this person who was very important to me, and I would listen to a person, so maybe they'll listen to me, even though he wouldn't, because that's not how.
Right.
We always think we have more power over other people than we do.
That's true. I just think that in this case, this person is.
Dangerous.
You look at the track record, and I do think that's a good read. I think you're right there, and it's a good way for me to be like, okay, that makes more sense. But like, you look at the track record, and you gotta maybe think a little bit more dangerous. Or just think a little bit more.
Okay, but you could say that about everyone on the show.
Yes, that's true. I don't get very many posts because I don't go looking for things. I don't want to be spoiled on like fandom memes or something. But there's a photo I got of the our four protagonists, and there was like these girls couldn't find a brick wall in the dark.
Yeah. They're doing their best.
They
The
are doing their
liars
best.
are doing their best.
And they would have done something pretty good this time if not for Toby.
All Toby's fault.
Yep.
Let's talk about Hannah's scholarship.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything fishy about this Carissimi Group scholarship? And we'll get into it more in the next episode.
It's so fishy. And it gets so much fishier.
But it was suggested by Jason. So is this just something Jason knows happens? Or is he in? Because that's like the red flag. Like that's what stands out to me that doesn't fit with the narrative. Like Jason is suggesting this.
Right. So where did Jason learn about it? Because
Also,
it's not on the website.
Jason and Ashley just hanging out?
I didn't think about that. Actually, you can following back up with Jason.
Because Pastor Ted's gone, right? Or did they?
Oh.
She broke up with him, or did they stay together? She broke up with him, right?
Yeah. Eventually, it's just like we can't.
Yeah. The biddies are gonna gossip, and I can't ruin you. Like that.
I think it was more just like, well, yeah, maybe I guess if Ted's gone.
Does Jason know like what the Carissimi Group is? Like
to the real question.
You're like still
I'm like
wistfully thinking about Ted.
Or I was just more thinking. I'm like, that's a big age gap, and I guess you're in for a penny, in for a pound now, Ashley. I follow your heart, I guess. I'm like it's pretty weird, but there's a Lucille 2 situation. Okay, I got lost again. Okay, Jason and the Carissimi Group.
Who's ADHD?
I had a moment earlier today where I'm like, I know I'm not ADHD because there's a lot of things that just doesn't match. But when I had gone into the bedroom to pick stuff up off the ground to be able to run the vacuum, then I'm like, okay, well, I need to be able to make the bed to put that on there. I'm like, but we're going to change the seats to do that. So I just need to sit here and change the seats. So
I get it.
Yeah. So
imagine if every single one of your thoughts did that. No wonder I'm so tired. Does Jason know? Is there anything suspicious with Jason suggesting this? Or was it simply like, oh, my mom used to donate to this and like you have to have a referral for the scholarship, so I'll refer Hannah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that connection there because it does seem odd then. But also, Jason is so in the dark on so many things all the time that I could see it being like, oh, Jason, apply for the scholarship at the Carissimi Group. And it's just this like loop back around for their own money that like Jessica had set up or something. So Jason's like, oh, I applied for that.
Well, because it needed to have a referral. Remember, you have to be like, that was what they said during the thing to Hannah in the next episode. It's like, oh, you have to have like someone has to basically refer you. So Jason referred them.
Yeah. So,
but is Jason just like, oh yeah, my mom used to donate to this, and now I have her board seat or whatever. So, or like I have her friends, and
Yeah, I don't know where the end game of Carissimi is. It's so strange. That it's like, is this all like a Charles thing?
Is any of it even related to Charles?
Right. But it seems so fishy with the other guy. But maybe it's just...
We can get to that in the next episode, the other guy.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Reese.
Thank you. But it... Yeah, so it's just like... It kind of comes out of nowhere. Then I'm just kind of like, huh? But it definitely seems fishy, and I don't think Jason's in on it.
Get my microphone. Let's talk about Sara and Claire. Sara moving back home. The whole Sara, Claire, Emily. Is this just to show us that Emily likes Sara and she's jealous? Is this because Claire was like, oh, Sara wasn't a good person, but then she's like, come over for dinner, and so it's like, is it showing how the girls come off to other people? Is Emily being protective of Sara?
Yeah, I think it's Emily's being protective of Sara. One. There could be also that we're getting Sara slightly off screen for some Charles reveal in the next couple episodes here.
You think Sarah's A?
No,
Okay.
but it could potentially be Redcoat.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. It's potential. That's all I'm saying. I hope it isn't. But being suspect, taking notice of people. But I do think that I think the thing. So Emily's being very protective over Sara, for multiple reasons of that she's very interested in her, but it's also been a solid presence in her life where she doesn't have to do as much as she can be brave for Sara on Sarah's behalf
instead of having to be brave for herself.
Exactly, and like having to process all those things. So it's a way of like channeling all that trauma, like kind of like onto Sara.
Toby should have handed Emily the gun.
Shot someone before.
Well, and we know she's a good shot.
Oh, right. Yeah. Does Toby know that?
I don't know. Well, they're friends.
That's true.
They probably talk about shooting guns together.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you talk about with your friends? Me and all my friends that don't own firearms. Most of which I've never touched one.
Yeah. I mean, I know a decent amount of like my old friends have shot firearms at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's the masculine thing to do nowadays.
Ish.
Yeah. No thanks to me. No thanks to me? No thanks for me. No thanks.
No thanks to you.
Yeah.
Go learn to do something else masculine, like how to fix my car or how to sew.
A noble pursuit.
Sewing, cooking, baking.
That's right.
Let's see here. What else can men do with their time instead of that? Befriending animals? What if they went on nature walks and didn't bring their guns and they just walked around in the nature and didn't shoot at things?
Yeah.
What if they preserved nature?
That's right. I think that's a great idea.
Picnics in the park. Men should have more picnics. People in general should just have more picnics.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I do love a picnic.
We'll have a picnic. And then we can then start the foundation for men to have more picnics. But I think Sara and Claire I think that's mostly like that's an innocent thing going on there where Claire is also mirroring the process that the friends are going through with Allison back in their lives.
Perfect.
And I think Claire is the analog there. Okay, so if Claire is also the analog for Emily and Allison, there could also be other feelings going on.
Or Emily's projecting onto Claire.
Exactly. So then it's like Claire's like could be a threat in multiple ways. Affections, time, and also like pulling her away from Emily.
Is Leslie suspicious about not coming? You've already kind of answered this because you were like, this seems like a very therapy answer.
Yes. I was like, I do think that Leslie is just our side character and we're done with her now. Maybe she'll come back up in the future, but it definitely seems like she's, according to my therapist, I should not be doing this.
How did Charles, this is a logistical question.
Oh, okay.
How did Charles plant the invitation on the car with cops always at the house?
Oh, wait, you mean on the deck?
Yeah, on the deck, sorry.
Right, because it's the balloon.
The balloon on the deck.
And the frog.
And the little, the little hopper frogs. I loved those as a kid.
You push them down.
You push the little back in and it hops. I thought those were so fun.
Those are very fun.
They make me think of zoos. I feel like we always bought them at the zoo.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I feel like they're also like one of those like toys in the toy bin that you got. Like...
Or they came in like gift bags at birthday parties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was
like
big.
Like the kind of like.
Yeah, that was an Oriental Trading ordered item.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you buy like teachers buy or like parents buy all the big, like you get like 12 of this. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
When I used to plan a birthday party, my favorite part, like I'd pick my theme and then I'd open up the Oriental Trading catalog and I'd pick out the things for my party favors. And so then we'd plan out my little party bags.
That's very cute.
You participated in none of that, huh? You know it was in your own party bags, did you?
No.
So sad.
Kids got stuff. I think I knew it was in the party bags. I was not picking it out.
Were you putting them together?
No. I don't know, actually. I want to say no.
I was always assembling the bags. It was important to me.
Yeah. As a hostess. That's very good.
Thank you.
That's a good, one. I mean, that's just very kind.
Yes. And it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was very fun. Why don't adults have party favors? And I don't mean the kind that Toby had or others. I
I mean, you can still have those if you want, but
I mean, like, you go to a birthday party, you get like what would it have instead of like candy? They'd be like, here's some like Tic Tacs and
what would you put in your
instead of
adult friend's goodie bag?
Yeah, like an Advil.
Here's
some icy hot patches.
Small can of soda for the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, icy hot patches. What else would you do?
I always really liked bubbles. I thought bubbles were great.
Yeah,
everyone likes bubbles. It doesn't matter.
Everybody loves bubbles.
Those little. I remember getting like the army men with the parachutes on. Yeah, those were usually in those kind of bags.
Mm-hmm. I guess we could just,
fans, paper fans.
Paper fans. That's a good one.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you're all invited to our party, you might get a nice gift.
Come to my birthday party.
That's right.
Could you imagine? Just like
yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Okay.
Yeah.
If we ever plan a party for one of us, we'll make party favors.
Yeah. Well, I guess my birthday.
Because our favorite for our wedding was aura photography, which is cool, and everyone got like the box and stuff like that. But you don't have to make the box.
Yeah, but you can't throw it up in the air and then it kind of slowly comes.
Well, it might depend on how windy it is.
That's true.
But anyway, okay, party favor. So the hopper. How did Charles get the balloon, the hopper, the invite on the deck?
Ooh, maybe like an airdrop. Just like came by and it just like slowly came down.
One of the delivery robots from like a Walmart.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or maybe I wonder if they had it like ordered and it was like a delivery, and then the police were just like, "Oh, cool," and just like set it up on the thing.
A single fucking balloon, a hopper, frog, and an envelope.
That's right.
I'm just gonna start sending weird shit to people. Happy birthday! Here's one binocular, like the kid ones.
Oh my god!
An army man with a parachute and
yeah.
a balloon. Happy birthday!
Yeah, went to Party City.
All right, let's talk about the moment that the girls are leaving. They've taken out their trackers. They're leaving to go find Toby, and Arya almost calls 911. Arya's moment of doubt. Like, are we doing the right thing? What do you think? I think that's interesting because she's the only character that really has, like, so far everyone's been so gung-ho this whole time and they've just been going and going and going. So for Arya to be the one with cold feet when she's the character that usually is like, I'm just going to go for it, but not quite like Spencer, who goes, they all go for it just in different ways. It's very interesting.
That, yeah, Arya is the one. She usually doesn't. She's usually very like, in on it.
I just like, what do you think of that? Like, should she have called 911?
Yeah, it would make sense, I guess, for the wider plan for them to then have the cops follow up on them after they go. So it seems like Arya was in a smart position there, because it goes so bad, and the regular way it goes, and they kind of almost catch up. Like, Charles is really almost caught, so she was probably right to. And it's interesting then that we get Allison being like, I need to go directly to the police.
Yeah, and then Allison calls 911. And Allison and Mona, what do we think about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's good too. But in calling the police, I think like Allison is just like, we're not fucking around anymore.
Yeah, it's too dangerous at this point.
Yeah, she's not following the same pattern as the other four friends because she's very on the outs. And so she doesn't feel the need to try and conceal and like run around on this, except for like when her dad's trying to control her.
Yeah.
Where, the opposite, and Arya's just kind of like, are we just doing the same thing over and over again? Are we just like falling into the same traps that we usually do? Which both yes and no in this case.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be kidnapped again.
Right, which is extremely fair. And we probably need more backup on this, even if the backup's very suspect. But I think the Mona and Allison is pretty great. I do think Mona is like genuine on like, well, I've got some weird fucking feelings about all this, and probably like on stuff that she knows or maybe still feels like guilty about, having gone through the ringer and been pretending to be Allison for months.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of feelings there that Mona is still processing. So I think it's nice to put them both together as like hated. They're like the original hated like enemies on the show. If like timeline wise, Allison was an absolute nightmare to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mona in turn was like, I'm gonna try and end you.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. But so it's interesting to wrap it back around and them kind of being on like solid footing again, especially after their like grudge match in a season ago. Is around the same time, wasn't this, where Mona like essentially frames her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is great.
Mona and Mike, we get a little moment. We get a little romantic moment.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the only romantic moment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's no other romance this episode.
There's no Caleb, so we don't get any good.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fitz not appearing in this film, and yeah. Well, there's Sara and Emily.
Oh yes.
How soon we forget.
I feel bad. I already forgot from the beginning of the episode. But I think because it feels so, it's still so uncomfortable for them that it's not quite like this.
No,
where it's like these two have this very nice scene where Mike gets consent. Because he's like, right. Do you want me to leave? And then she says no. And I'm like, look at that. The boys know consent.
Mm-hmm. Mike is a nice lad.
He's a nice boy.
Mm-hmm. So, they're, like I said, they're in their own separate soap opera plot. Because it is very like...
I remember watching this and being so annoyed, though, because you're like, I don't care.
Right?
Like the first time I watched it, like I was like, I love Mona. Don't get me wrong. But like, what is this contributing to the plot?
Yeah,
it's like Leslie. I'm like, why is she here?
Uh-huh.
Why isn't she here now?
They're not. Yeah, there's not. We don't get Mona. Mona is like my favorite character on the show, but we don't need the same amount. It's not the same amount of like lifestyle that we need to have with the other ones. It just kind of ends up dragging it down because we already are spinning 4 plates of focusing on the other lives of the girls and more concentrated detail on like romance. And I don't think Mike and Mona, we just haven't done like legwork to be like really enamored with their love story.
We never found out what Mike was doing with the gummies that he put on the
Oh yeah.
So I couldn't remember when we watched that scene. I was like, are those the gummies Toby takes? And then I was like, oh no, Spencer gets her gummies from,
right,
from Sabrina. So then I'm like, does anything ever happen with those, or is it just another dropped plot line? I can't fucking tell you.
I'd assume it's something to do. It's like a code between him and Mona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but it is very funny, this scene of just like them
and the creepy dolls.
Oh right, well that and Mona being like, sure, I'll take him.
Love it.
They're very like, I can't have you back. I can't take you back. Like I hurt you too much, and it's just like
I'm
you're
bad
alive.
for you.
Yeah, the melodrama.
It's very romance novelty, which we love.
Yeah, I just don't think it works all that well.
It didn't need to be here.
Yeah, again, their romance is not really the focus.
Because they have to fill these episodes because they can't give us anything until the last episode, and then they're gonna info dump it on us, and boy howdy.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, especially for
knowing what
reasons.
You know.
Exactly, but also that was it Oliver Goldstick in the one of the articles was kind of like, yeah, we have a way higher volume of like info in this episode. So I'm like, oh,
then when the Allison came back episode.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn, okay, so it's just gonna be them explaining things to us.
Yeah, it's literally an entire episode of that.
Okay. It just doesn't sound fun.
No. So Toby eats 47 million candies. How many do you think he actually ate?
Okay, so there is probably I don't know, probably like a dozen, a little over.
He was dumping them in his mouth.
I know. He probably ate like the whole bag.
And like, even if those are 5 milligram, like, oh.
Okay, for context, when weed was like legalized in
Have we not told this story?
We might have.
I don't know. You can tell it.
Yeah, so when weed became legal in California, we'd both not been like smoking or anything for like a long time. And it's like, oh, well, like, let's try it. Like, that'll be okay. And then my buddy was like, oh yeah, come on over. Got these like little like 5 milligram ones. And it's like, oh, that doesn't sound like much. Took one, and then it was like, my God. It got so high. And we lived in San Francisco at the time, so it's like we walked around Golden Gate Park.
We walked over 13 miles that day, I think.
It was just like 8 hours.
We walked to the Buffalo in Golden Gate Park, and then back, and then to the Haight to get ice cream. And it was just,
I couldn't stop moving.
I just
felt so
remember wanting to stop when we passed the old men with the sailboats at the, I don't know which like lake pond, whatever it is in Golden Gate Park, that the old men with the little motorized like Stuart Little style sailboats do their thing, but they were out there doing their thing. And I was like, I have never wanted to be a part of a community more in my life. And I still feel this way. This was not a stoned thought. No. This was a, man, I have a dream. Yeah, I remember researching how much those are. Those little boats are like insane.
Yeah,
like I think
really
like
expensive.
nice ones are like thousands of dollars. Like, but I really wanted one because I was like, I want to be with these little. Could you imagine like you get up on Saturday morning, you go to Golden Gate Park, you and the boys, and you're all old. You got your coffees and you got your little motorized boats.
Yeah,
that sounds so fun.
You're talking
little,
about
and you got
other
your little
boats.
controllers. Yeah, because that's it's so cute.
Love it.
But it's a dream of mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a goal of mine. Should be on my 30 after 30 list.
Yeah, okay.
Of the 30 things I want to do after 30.
Get a motorized
I have to
boat.
take something else off, and I'm like, take off skateboarding. I want to get a motorized boat.
Well, we need to find a place to do it around here.
Yeah, we'll have to look.
Yeah,
I bet there is.
So that was just for context. Those things were like yay big.
They're these teeny tiny little like cube.
Yeah, it was maybe like.
Well, we used to get the 5 milligram gummy bears too.
Oh,
like
those are fine.
Yeah, they're different. The size of the gummy doesn't necessarily mean the amount.
That's true. Yeah, it's the
because like think about when you used to get like brownies or like Rice Krispies and stuff. I mean, God only knows how much was in any of those.
Yeah, I don't even think I had a different tolerance back then. But at FYF in 2012, we went to a music festival, and then we were like, oh, we'll have these little edibles. Not little edible. We had edibles, and each of us had one, and it was these were 3X, so we were very high. But I don't even think that even compared to those little gummies.
I don't know. I didn't know you then.
Yeah.
Those gummies, though, those are something.
Oh, it's awful.
Those are something.
Awful.
But so anyway, Toby's very high, but like lights don't flash. You know, that's not how that being that high works usually. Right. I don't know. I've never been that high.
Yeah, exactly. Like where
thank goodness.
Your face melting off. Yeah.
But how did Lorenzo not notice Toby was high? Where does Lorenzo think Toby is when he's sitting in the conference room?
Wait.
So like they had to drive out there together, and never once did Lorenzo go, huh.
I don't think the gummies hit him until they're in the thing.
So they all hit exactly when he needed to shoot.
Exactly.
Okay.
100%. I think that's 100% what happens.
And Lorenzo couldn't smell the weed.
It's like I don't know if you've seen that tweet, but it's just like, took some edibles, like these ain't shit. And then like the next one is, I think that's exactly what happened to him.
Yeah. The worst is like if you split an edible with someone and they got all of the weed and you got none of it. And so then like
that's really funny.
That happened to me more than once.
Never happened to me.
We'd split like a cupcake or something, and then I'd be like, they're like off their face. And I'm like, what are we doing?
My sugar high is crashed.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, I guess, sit here.
Yeah. But I assumed afterwards too that like the police had like, or Lorenzo, Lorenzo's incapacitated. He's got multiple baseball wounds.
Oh, that's true. He was hit in the chest a bunch.
So I think the police probably brought Toby and put him in there of just wait out the high.
But he's like, I don't want people to find me, so I don't think that they know that he's high.
I assume that was like Spencer and her parents. I don't think he wants the public, like other people to know.
I thought he meant like his boss or like the other cops to know.
I don't know, maybe. It could be that he's just like, I feel so weird. But then it's just like people will be like coworkers walking by like, what's Kavanaugh doing in there?
Well, he's having a moment because he missed. Because he could have gotten the person who had kidnapped his girlfriend.
I can't think of a less inviting place to come off from a high than a police station.
Neither. Take me anywhere else.
Please.
Put me on the street.
Take me to the hospital at the very least. Jesus. That's probably better.
What are they going to do besides tell you you're high?
Yeah. Maybe they looked at you.
Maybe they'd bring you some Jell-O.
Yeah. You're like, I ate so many. And it'd probably be like,
you've got a hospital bill of like $5,000.
$5,000 well spent rather than being at the police station.
Okay, and my last question on this episode is, where was Jessica storing all of these home videos? On Reels,
That's true.
Or tapes, and like she's got all these, like, it's like, oh, they found the one picture in the jar of buttons, but then like,
Right. There's all these reels somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have one more question after that too.
Maybe at the warehouse. What is that warehouse?
What warehouse?
The arcade.
Oh.
Why do they always go there? Is that like the De Laurentiis arcade?
Or did they just go to the same arcade that they'd gone to when they were kids? It's just closed right now because it was.
Oh, because they're filming outside of like a warehouse, I assumed that it was closed then too. But it's probably a fully functioning arcade. It's just the set doesn't look like it because they're just like in a back alley, and I'm assuming that's just like filming in LA.
I'm sorry that you grew up in a town where your arcade looked pretty on the outside. If you drive past the bowling alley in my hometown, you can't tell the difference between that and a correctional facility. I've never taken you to the bowling alley there. I will take you to the bowling alley.
Took an edible, tried to go to the bowling alley, ended up at the station.
It's like, it literally is just like a sad cement shoebox.
It's so funny. All right. Well, you know.
I'm sorry you grew up in Southern California with the luxury. I guess that they were in, but maybe they're not in their little town. They're somewhere else.
It was a little bit over. But still, I'll take my judgment elsewhere.
Yes.
I've been, sufficiently checked.
Who sent A the gift at the end of the episode?
Well, Red Hood, of course.
How did Red Hood get that?
Yeah, had a painting? Well, Red Hood's probably like, oh, hey, what are we doing tonight, Charles? Oh, we're fucking watching the same reels again, huh? Home videos.
Do you think Red Hood painted it themselves?
I could. Who's artistically inclined?
Aria?
Oh, it's Aria. Yeah.
She writes more than she takes pictures. I don't know if we've seen her paint.
I don't know. I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I like that.
Why not?
Are you ready for the next episode?
Yes. Take a quick pause. Season 6, Episode 8, Episode 128, Framed. The five friends watch the news, hearing a report on Charles. They think Allison turned in the home videos to the cops, and Spencer wonders if they can do an age up to see what he'd look like now. They hear the news say that the police think that Charles killed Jessica also. All the friends wonder why he turned on Jessica. Allison then says, we shared cake with him. What happened to him? Hannah says, you played skee ball with him once. Charles doesn't deserve your pity. He's been coming after us. The friends all try and get Hannah to calm down, but Hannah says, no, I'm saying what we're all thinking. I'm not going to sit here and let Allison give him the benefit of the doubt. Ashley says Mr. De Laurentiis can help explain the scholarship. Says to Hannah, Mr. De Laurentiis can help explain the scholarship weirdness. Hannah says Jessica would send Charles money because Mr. De Laurentiis gave up on him. We should turn the money into the police and be done with it. A only gives so they can take it away. Ashley says, if you still feel this way after we talk to Mr. De Laurentiis at his office, we'll go to Tanner. They then find a news van in front of his office, and Ashley's like, well, we'll have to find another way to reach him, and continues to push to keep the money. Clark and Aria have coffee at the brew. Clark asks if the friends thought they could catch Charles on their own and asks a lot of questions about Charles. Aria asks him to move on and stop talking about this. We see Fitz watching them talk. Clark gives her a flyer for the contest that is using one of Aria's photos. Turns out she's not going to the contest finale tonight because of, everything. Clark then leaves and Fitz comes over being suspicious of Clark. Fitz says, I get why you all didn't call the cops. You had why you didn't call the cops. You almost had Charles cornered. Turns out the Montgomery parents are preventing Aria from even going to the gallery. Fitz offers to take her, and Aria realizes that if he does, then she could get a police escort, which would enable her to go. Lorenzo and Allison hang out at his place. She's venting about her friends vilifying Charles and her dad coming down mean. Lorenzo says it must be hard knowing that it's your brother coming after you, and we see that Allison brought Lorenzo over soup since his arm is broken, and he kisses her in thank you. Hannah vents about her mom keeping the scholarship money, and Spencer is looking into an internship at Carissimi to try and find out more, but the deadline already passed. Spencer then realizes that if they actually just bring the money to Carissimi, that they can get in. Aria shows Tanner her photos for the gallery. Tanner says cops can be stationed on site to watch Aria going there. And then Tanner reassures Ella that she wouldn't agree to this plan for Aria to go tonight if she thought it was risky in any way, and offers for them to think on it. We see that a hooded figure is watching the art gallery being set up, and we hear a buzzer go off, and then a red coat walks in. Aria picks out her outfit with Emily. Turns out all the friends minus Allison are going to the gallery. Emily finds a bag in Aria's closet, and it turns out it's her dress, Aria's dress for prom, coming up, and doesn't want Emily to look at it because it's going to be a surprise. Emily says the school board sent emails to their parents expressing concerns over whether the friends can even attend prom. Aria asks for Emily to be her prom buddy as two single ladies. Emily's like, well, I might want to slow dance with someone else. And Aria's like, oh, with Sara? And Emily's like, how did you know? Hannah and Spencer are at Carissimi, and they look around the person's office whose name is on the check. Hannah encourages Spencer to keep quiet because she thinks it might be bugged, and they fight over whether they're being watched or not as they try and tear apart the office when a young professional man comes in named Reese Matthews, asking how he can help them. Lorenzo tells Allison that Mr. De Laurentiis is complying with Tanner, but he can't access the files on it. They also called in a profiler to interview him about Charles. Lorenzo has a timer go off and says, you should get out of here for a while. I'm going to be falling asleep because these pills just knocked me out. And Alice's like, it's okay. I can help out around here. Aria asks Emily about Sara. She also asks if Sara knows about the tracking chips. And Emily's like, I didn't feel like that she had one. Aria encourages Emily to bring her to prom. Aria says, no man will go with me. And then Emily asks, what about Clark? And Aria's like, I don't want to bring someone who's just going to be interviewing me all night. Reese grills Hannah on why she's bringing back the money, and Spencer then grills him on the scholarships and why this isn't up on the website. Reese says that the scholarships are given out based on recommendations, not open applications. His boss is the one who decides who gets the scholarship. Hannah takes a picture of Reese on the sly. Reese says, I can call my employer and let him know that you'd like to return the money. That's the best I can do. The two then leave and both agree he looks exactly like a De Laurentiis. Allison folds laundry as Lorenzo sleeps. She grabs her bag to leave and finds his police badge and an ID in the key bowl. She grabs his ID and leaves. Spencer and Hannah arrive at the gallery. They both agree the place is crawling with cops. Hannah thinks that Carissimi is one elaborate scheme from A. Spencer says, let's keep it silent for tonight. Emily comes over anxious, and Spencer immediately folds on this. Hannah shows Emily a photo of Reese, and Emily's like, why do you have a photo of Jason? And they explain who Reese is.
Emily proving that all white boys look the same.
Exactly. I don't know who this white man is.
What do you mean? Why Jason? Everyone's Jason, right?
Exactly.
I mean, he does look a lot like Jason.
He does, yeah. But it is really funny. Just like,
I'm like, yeah, I get it, girl. Me too. Sometimes I'm like,
A white guy's a white guy.
He's blonde, he's tall, he's white. It looks like he works out. I don't know. What else am I supposed to do with this?
Supposed to pick them all apart? Fitz talks with Aria. Aria asks him to go to the prom as a friend. Fitz looks taken aback as Nicole comes in, and Aria is like, oh, hello. And then I'm going to go find Clark to say hi. Aria asks Clark if it gets easier doing these showings. He's like, it's my first one. And then Aria's like, wait, but your bio says you won a governor's award. And he's like, oh, yeah, I mean, one this big. She asked where his parents are, and I believe he said they were coming, and he's like, oh, they couldn't come up from Baltimore. They call everyone together to discuss the awards and announce the awards. They unveil all the photo finalists, and then everyone sees on the walls that in Aria's section, it's 4 pictures of the girls in the dollhouse on gurneys. After the commercial break, we see the police tearing the place apart. Tanner reads the sign, though it's listed in Spanish next to Aria's pictures, that says it's from Charles, and it's a message to her that says she took something from him. She says, I grew up in a bilingual household, and Charles wants me to know that he can dig up details on me as well. Ella loses it on Tanner for not finding him. Police back up the gallery, and then Hannah stares down all the photos are pulling things out of the gallery, and Hannah stares down all the photos being loaded up into the van. Spencer and Emily come up and get her to leave. They notice Reese in a car across the street and go to follow him. Allison arrives at the Rosewood PD station and scans Lorenzo's badge into the conference room where they're keeping evidence for the Charles case. She finds a box of evidence that includes a baby rattle with her mom's name on it. Tanner then opens the door behind her and says she crossed a line. Spencer, Emily, and Hannah follow Reese to an abandoned doll factory. It's one that they've been to before. And then wait outside while he goes in. Tanner grills Allison on jeopardizing the evidence in the room. She asks how Allison can recognize Charles's baby rattle. Allison's like, actually, it's mine. Tanner says we found it in the bunker. Allison says maybe some part of Charles wanted to stay connected to the family, and that's why he took it. Tanner says killers can be as sentimental as other people. Allison wonders what will happen when they catch him, and Tanner says, well, we'll catch him with lethal force if necessary, and then takes back Lorenzo's ID from her. Fitz leaves the gallery as Arya is waiting outside. Arya says Nicole seems nice, and Fitz is like, well, it wasn't a date. Nicole is a photographer too and saw your flyer and came. Actually had some questions for her about Habitat for Humanity, but we don't have to talk about that now. Fitz asks how she's doing, and Arya says Charles wants us back. She talks about fantasizing about being back in Iceland before all this happened when she was, and then she was fantasizing and has this memory of that she was thinking about this and dreaming about that when she was back in the bunker before those pictures were taken, and she woke up cold on the gurney. The other friends sit in the car waiting for Reese. They see another car drive up, and Clark gets out, and he goes inside. Emily texts Arya to let the police know that Clark is meeting A. Allison comes back to Lorenzo's house, and he confronts her, saying, it seems like you manipulated me to get my ID. He says, I'm trying to figure out why you did this. Allison's like, they're going to kill my brother before I even know him. Lorenzo says, I'm one of them. I just wish you would have asked. He says, you would have said no, and I would have done the same thing anyways. Ella visits Ashley. I mean, fair enough. Ella visits Ashley. Ashley asks if she's there to discuss the email from the school board, and Ella's like, I don't know how we'll tell them. Ashley asks, did something happen at the gallery? Ella says, the police aren't doing enough. We have to protect our girls. And Ashley's like, wait, what happened at the gallery? And then we see the red coat waiting outside. The other three friends visit Arya to tell her about Clark. Tanner watches security footage of the gallery setup where a man that looks kind of like Jason brings in Arya's photos. But we only see like the back of the head. A gloved hand.
Every man looks like Jason.
All these blonde men all around. A gloved hand puts syringes and duct tape and other items in the trunk of a limo. They climb in the back seat and knock on the divider, and the divider lowers, and we see its red coat in the driver's seat, and they hand the hooded figure an invitation.
Going to prom.
Off to prom.
Why is Allie sympathetic towards Charles? Unlike Jason, she doesn't have the memories.
Yeah, it does seem odd to me, especially since Charles is gunning. It's literally trying to kidnap her and has been like for a very long time before the show even started. My best reasoning is that she feels guilty for the way that she replaced Charles in the family, I guess. That's my best. It seems like there's like some sort of competition there for the parents' affections or something. But why?
Mm-hmm.
It's too, you don't know this person, and this person has like really well and truly tried to like endanger your life and has endangered your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crossed a very, very big line.
Did Charles try to kill Jessica, or was that someone else? Or kill Jessica, I guess.
I think Charles did kill Jessica.
Why?
I'm assuming like there was like some sort of fight or disagreement where Charles seemed like Jessica would not back up Charles anymore. I assume that's what happened. That there's something that rattled Charles enough to think that Jessica would sell him out, essentially, or like ruin their plans. Or like, I don't know if Jessica like cut him off or what.
Why won't Mr. D tell Allison about Charles?
Oh, but we'll go to the police about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he wants to confront that within his family. He's like, we just need to keep this hush hush. So it's like, we'll go to the police now that my back's against the wall, but I'm not going to discuss with you. This will be on public record. That's kind of just the dealer dentist thing.
Family.
Like, we're not going to talk about this, but like, if push comes to shove, we got to do what we got to do.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Why is Clark asking so many questions?
I'm assuming this is all a misdirect because we're down to the wire on A stuff that I think Charles is doing something fishy, but it's like not. Or sorry, yeah, Charles is definitely doing something fishy. I don't think Clark is involved with Charles, but It does seem weird.
Where was Clark?
Maybe Clark got a Carissimi Group, because I think Clark is lying about his background in general.
Okay.
So I think maybe Clark is just a pathological liar, and maybe like lied to get a scholarship or something, and that's why Reese was meeting with him
At the abandoned creepy doll factory? Why there?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe like Clark had taken pictures there or something before.
So you don't think Clark's family lived nearby?
No, I don't think they were coming. Even if
Do you
they
think
do.
it was Clark's art even on the walls? Or do you think?
You think Clark is?
Well, but I wouldn't think so because he was taking pictures while they were out, and they were actually doing the photo thing together.
Yeah,
where you develop it.
I'm assuming he just doesn't have the pedigree of like winning things, and like is like talked himself up more.
Mm-hmm.
So he has this kind of like house of lies built up around, say, maybe a trained skill or something. Where this intersects with meeting up with like a guy in an abandoned doll factory, I haven't the foggiest.
Okay. That's fair, I guess.
Why are we introducing this character so late in the game to then be, I don't know, it will maybe connected somehow.
I have one question.
There's just so many people swirling that are just like random new characters, and I'm like, this can't go anywhere.
It's my least favorite thing ever because you're like, there's 2 fucking episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a lot of questions on the Montgomery, but I do have one. What the fuck? They're like, you know what? I know you were nominated for this very prestigious scholarship, but we said we were going to Michelangelo's lacrosse banquet, and I know he's not a senior, but and I know he wasn't kidnapped. But
and also that Arya could potentially win an internship. Like there's big things coming out of this. It's so funny. Yeah, I didn't write that in the notes, but that was like the Montgomery. The Montgomerys were gonna go to the lacrosse banquet.
Is Reese a De Laurentiis?
Maybe a cousin?
Oh.
It does seem really funny if there's just even more of their tendrils spread out. Boy, that'd be really funny if he is. I really hope he is.
It's like Cousin Reese.
Cousin Reese, yeah. He's just somehow connected to all this. Maybe he's... Wait, but they didn't know Aunt Carol. And Jason would probably know that. Why? Because Jason would probably say, hey, this is the Carissimi Group run by my family.
Would he? Or would he just say, I can get you I can get you. He might not think about the fact that
it's his cousin?
I don't know.
That manages the account?
Well, who runs the Carissimi Group? Who's the big boss?
I know. Who is the Carissimi Group? My 10-part YouTube series will take this all apart as we come to the top.
Okay.
First, we have to start with Carissimi. That means beloved.
How did A swap out Arya's pictures? Like, I just like the idea that like this was not like monitored at all. And I mean, I know we watch it, but it's like, like what the fuck?
Right. You're just letting all these things. The protection is like a sieve. Yeah. Everything's just slipping through. There's nothing there. Yeah, and that's dedication. You had to change out pictures and things, and the contest runners themselves, I guess, so they would have had to receive. Wait, but they used Arya's other photos, the doll photos.
Yeah, so they didn't. So they knew which photos were supposed to be there, but they don't set. I'm assuming they had a vendor set it up,
right? And they just didn't look at it.
How negligent, right?
I know. You'd think if you're putting on a gala or something for art, you would maybe double check these sort of things. I don't know. I'm just work at a corporate office setting. Simple man.
Linda, Tanner, and Charles. Why? Why is this a rivalry here? And like, why is he leaving notes specific for Tanner?
I kind of like that Charles is being like, back the fuck off, Tanner. I like when...
Hands off my dolls.
Exactly. I know this isn't... I like it in police fiction where the killer's taunting the police. It's like, this is a message directly for us. This doesn't really work in this because the messages they're not the main character. But it's fun. It's a fun little wrinkle, I guess. Kind of like they're like upping like that Charles is more threatening.
Was Allie planning on scamming Lorenzo, or was it a crime of opportunity?
Yeah. I think she was.
Okay.
I do think she was. And I like that she comes clean. She's like, I would have taken it anyway. Like, you would have said no. I do think she likes Lorenzo. I don't think that's fake. But I do think she saw an opportunity. I do think this is a very sloppy plan from Allison.
Yeah, especially for her. I'm like, girl, so this girl stayed missing for years.
I was thinking this exact same thing.
There's so many. Once she comes back, it's like, oh, she's not a slut. It's like, it once again makes me think of like Catherine in Vampire Diaries is always 47 steps ahead. She only dies because of like the love of her daughter. It's a whole fucking thing. It doesn't matter. But anyway, Catherine is always, and I think she comes back. I haven't finished the show, but I'm pretty sure she comes back in the end. Like it's impossible to kill her. She's She's like having fleas or bed bugs or something. You got to get them all.
We love Catherine. Catherine's an absolute vibe.
Catherine is by far best character on that show. So I mean, I don't know. Carolyn's pretty good.
Yeah, but Carolyn is actually fantastic.
But anyway, so you think of Allie as like a Catherine, and then all of a sudden she's on the scene and she's playing an Elena, and you're like, this is not working.
It doesn't at all. It's so funny.
Elena has more backbone and better plans.
Better plans. Which involve the Salvatore brothers being like, she's putting herself in danger again. Isn't she? We told her to stay home. God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's so funny how many plot lines of Vampire Brothers are just like
Vampire Diaries.
I call Vampire Brothers.
I mean, that is what it is. This has been another unhinged episode. We cannot.
Really. I mean, what's so fun? I mean, really, if you think about it, she's not writing that diary that much after that first season. Change the Vampire Brothers.
He really isn't using the diary after the first season. You're right.
It's Vampire Brothers time.
Which Vampire brother is your brother? Are you a Damon or are you a Stefan?
Probably a Stefan.
Yeah.
You know,
like
Damon's just like causing all sorts of shit. I was thinking earlier today, you know, there's the like trope of or not trope, I guess, but it's you use it all the time. It's like, if bad, why hot?
Oh yeah, like if hot, why evil?
Yeah, thank you.
Or no, if hot, like not, you know, yeah, it's like
And I feel like that like to certain people applies for like Damon.
Oh no, if evil, why hot? I think is how we usually phrase it, because it's like, well, if they're actually bad, then they wouldn't be so hot, and so they're actually good deep down,
right.
But you just have to get to it because they're traumatized, and I'm like, so is everyone else.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's true.
Some of them are traumatized because of you.
I feel like that's Damon for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
but he is just bad.
Yeah, he kills like a really cool character that is so cool that they keep having to bring her back.
As dead.
Exactly.
Well, and he assaults Caroline.
Oh, right.
Like the first season, yeah, Damon's not a cool character.
Yeah. This is kind of like Logan and Veronica Mars.
But let's go back to Pretty Little Liars.
You're right.
So,
but my final point on that was just... I feel like I can't think of as much of women for that. It's mostly men, because if women, then it's for bad. They're crazy.
Yeah. Well, women can be
Quote,
hot
unquote.
And evil.
Mm-hmm. I guess Catherine is that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good. Vampire Diaries has both.
She's smart. She's always one step ahead.
Perfect. I found one because I'm like, I can't think of one. I only think of like the evil crazy. Like, sorry, I should stop using crazy.
But I mean, that's how it's supposed to come off. That's the
right.
That's the intended misogyny in the decision as the creator.
It's like, ooh, why is she licking the blood? That's because she's a little off.
Yeah.
And listen, we love those characters too, but you know, call it like it is. The
moms are starting to talk. What does that mean for them and for A?
About this show.
I meant on Pretty Little Liars.
I know. I just thought that was so funny. It's like a full. The moms are starting to talk.
They are. They're starting to talk. They haven't been talking.
It is interesting. I don't, because
We're gonna get another like
mom's like trying to like
Pretty Little Liars mom scene, and it's gonna leave us with a plot hole.
fantastic. I can't wait. I do like when they're like the parents are finally like getting off their asses and doing something. I don't know if this is that yet, but I do hope that it's like actually like going out there. Is it?
No.
Because it's about prom. That's like their discussion. But then Redcoat's like, what are they doing about prom?
They're gonna get handicapped so fast, just like taken out of the scenario.
Interesting. All right, I can't wait.
Which A is going to prom? Black Hoodie or Red Coat? Or both?
Oh, I'm gonna say. Oh wait, Redcoat hands Black Hoodie the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Both.
Oh, together?
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. Those are my questions. Are you ready to take us?
Sorry. Had to reset the camera.
You couldn't wait till I was done with my sentence.
No. I should have said it.
Would you like to take us to Theory Corner?
I would love to. That's the polite way to do it, people.
Well, they're not going to see what you did because you're going to edit it out.
I might just leave it in.
You're going to leave out you resetting leave in you resetting the camera.
Mm-hmm. Let us step into. Theory Corner.
You've already stepped into it.
That's precisely why I was going to leave it in. Oh, Theory Corner. Welcome to Theory Corner, everybody. We have one more podcast episode before we get to the reveal. So we got to try and... Okay, really? I know I was like being like, oh, this could potentially be an ally. I didn't think we were going to get like someone, like explicitly someone else directly helping Charles. So I was thinking, I was like, yeah, that could be an option. So damn, put a real damper in her mind. So, all right, possible people that could be. I have a hard time figuring out what Redcoat's benefit is. It could be someone that was from Radley, so I guess that could be someone like Leslie or something that's like helping out Charles, or that became close with Charles at Radley during that stay. I think when I said Sara could potentially be involved, this could potentially be Sara. That Sara, like, being in that bunker, there could be like some gross stuff. I worry that it's going to be some gross stuff that they do where it's like, captured and then ends up helping her capture. I hope it's not that. I just have to get that off because it was in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope it's not that. Let's see. I'm trying to think like other. So I know Jenna is not in this season, which is bananas to me. So Jenna is not on this docket here. I'm trying to think like who else. I guess like Clark could be one of these people.
Well, but do they have to reveal Red Coat at the end of this?
Not necessarily, huh? We could only get a Charles reveal, and Charles is like, I was getting help from this person all along, and then it's like, well, there's the next person. We got to figure out who the hell Redcoat is, and it's like, yo, do you really believe that like someone was helping Charles? Oh no, we caught Charles. It's all fine now. Probably when it's gonna be, isn't it? Yep, that's good. It's gonna be. Then I know who Redcoat is.
Who?
I can't say it yet.
Why?
Because it would be the final reveal of the next day. I'm assuming that Redcoat would then be the next day.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then they're like, oh, it looks like Charles had a co-conspirator at the end. And then it'll be like, wait, do you really think Charles... And, it's very obvious to the audience that there's someone else, but then the friends and everybody's being like, no, we caught Charles. It's all over. Da, ba, ba. You know what I mean?
We get a time jump after this, Charles.
Right.
The reveal. So that's the other thing. Next week, I have to have you predict where everyone's going to be in 5 years. What's their 5-year plan and what's happened in those 5 years? I think it's 5 years. I think it's a 5-year time jump.
That'd be fun. I'll have to get cooking. So then, identity of Charles. I guess we could have gotten a misdirect on like Andrew coming back around. Andrew could be involved with this somehow. I don't think Clark or Leslie or any of those people are important enough to pull that in. There could also be the dreaded that they have switched genders. It could be Cece. Other men that it could potentially be. I guess it could be more open as that we just don't know something about one of our main characters, but I don't think it would be like Toby or like Caleb or anything. I don't think they would do that for. I feel like we've already seen that kind of turns that way with our at least long-term partners.
Mm-hmm.
There could also be something that it could potentially be Sara like pulling in the ear. Like I said, I don't think that would be for Sara. But who else? We haven't seen Lucas in a while.
We haven't seen Lucas in a while. I'm excited for you to tell me what you think Lucas has done in the 5 years, the update we get on him.
Gambling. The man became a professional poker player. As for like Charles's, I think it's pretty blatant what like Charles's whole thing is, and I do think there is something I that I laid out last time where the Bethany thing was meant to distract while Charles took Allison. Like the Bethany being knocked out cold in the ditch, dressed up like Allison, was meant to look like Allison to distract long enough for Charles to take Allison, and before they had noticed she's missing. And I think Bethany was close with Charles and like lured out, and that's why Bethany had weird feelings about Jessica because of Charles.
So if your theory is true, then Mona saved Allison by getting her out of town.
Yeah, and Mona, yeah, that's true.
Inadvertently.
Mm-hmm. When Mona's just like, get out of my life. So, yeah, there you go. A little good deed for Mona there. I think that's what's laid out there. And that we know Jessica is kind of helping Charles. I'm trying to think what else is like kind of unanswered about Charles. It's mostly just who at this point, and then what they were doing, and who else is involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really where it's going to be. But I think at least that plan's laid out. So the who I still think is kind of anybody's guess at this point. They haven't really given us any concrete information other than it's a De Laurentiis. It was Reese. I don't know what is up with the Carissimi Group. It is fishy, and I guess it's maybe it is Charles's piggy bank, in the way Charles is like wielding it against Hannah to then pull something on them.
I like it.
So
lots of theories, lots of corners.
Yes, it's a rough one this go around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And again, they just keep throwing in new characters. Like, should we care about Clark going to an abandoned dollhouse? Probably, or doll factory? Probably not. But here we are.
Yeah.
Those are my best guesses. I know the identity. We just have to see about all the finer details. It's a thread.
Make sure you don't get into Toby's weed gummies.
See you all next time.
Well.
Yep. It's gonna happen next time.
It's gonna happen. You ready to go watch it?
Yeah. I'm dreading it. Oh, I'm dreading it. But at least we'll get past it and then we can move on.
Yeah. That sounds like a very healthy approach to this one. It should be fun. But yeah, we did.
I know.
We lost the fun on the show, I think, really like dwindles after season 3.
Yeah,
I guess 3 through 5 is kind of like the fun era. 2, yeah. I mean, 2 is good. 1 and 2 are good. Like, I don't think there's anything particularly like bad about them. But
it ratchets up.
You get the goofy way.
Yeah. Yeah. that's what I was kind of worried about as we got the kind of turn of like, ooh,
Yeah, but
stuff.
then we got a scene where Toby accidentally got way too high.
And we're all better for it.
Do you see why I like? That's what I remember from this whole like half season arc.
Oh, absolutely.
My memories of this half season arc are I can picture in my head the last episode and like where the girls are standing and what they're wearing because like the prom is fairy tale themed, and so like which princess each one is and stuff like that. Like I can see that in my head and their dresses.
Oh, that's really fun.
Like for some reason, like that really stuck with me. And then I can see Toby being too high and trying to shoot the gun, and then like Caleb fighting with Hannah, and the
Right.
trackers in their necks.
Oh,
Because I was like, wow.
yeah, that is it is wild.
But the rest of this, never seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming our next episode will be Charles trying to nab the girls at prom.
It's game over, Charles.
2 episodes.
What do you
Well,
mean?
I mean 1 podcast episode.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is game over for this podcast episode.
You'll never see. It's not true, but
Next week.
it's just in my head. Did we get into Toby's sweet gummies tonight?
Does seem like it, doesn't it?
No, we would have just been sitting here staring.
Oh God, we would have been so anxious.
The light is too bright to be stoned.
You can't have a ring light be stoned.
You can't be high in front of a ring light. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, you can find this podcast on all your podcast players at Dead Ends. You can find it on YouTube at dead_ends. And you can email us at deadendspcast@gmail.com. Thank you. I've listened to you say this for years now. I finally memorized it.
And you can leave us 5 stars on your podcast player of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Helps us out.
It lets people know that we exist.
Gives us
that
some dopamine.
people like us. Yeah. You can leave comments on the YouTube. We get lots of nice comments on the YouTube that make us very happy, and we really appreciate all of them. And we like engaging with people on there. We think it's very fun.
It's very fun. So yeah, please leave a comment.
Okay. Love you.
If we're still here, we're going to find out everything.
Okay. Bye.